The billionaire pointed at the massive steel safe in the corner of his penthouse and laughed. "Open this safe," he said, "and $5 million is yours." He thought it was a joke. Everyone in that room thought it was a joke, but 9-year-old Jada Richardson didn't laugh. She stood there while some of the richest people in New York City pointed their phones at her like she was entertainment. What happened in the next 7 minutes didn't just win Jada the money. It exposed a truth that would cost the billionaire far more than $5 million. Jada Richardson lived with her grandmother Gloria in the Bronx. Her grandmother had raised her alone since she was 3. Gloria worked as a housekeeper for wealthy families across Manhattan, early mornings, late nights, 20 years doing the same work. Jada was different from other kids. Her teachers noticed it early. She could remember things after seeing them once, entire pages, math problems, conversations word for word. They called it eidetic memory, photographic memory. Right now, Gloria was in the hospital. Cancer treatment, the expensive kind that insurance companies don't like to cover. One afternoon, an envelope arrived. Thick, expensive paper. Inside was an invitation from Khalid al-Mansour, one of the families Gloria used to work for. Past tense, because 6 months ago he'd let her go after 20 years. No explanation. Just a phone call saying her services were no longer required. The invitation was for his charity gala at his Manhattan penthouse. It specifically mentioned Gloria could bring a guest. Gloria was too weak from treatment to attend. "You should go with Mrs. Patterson from downstairs," Gloria told Jada. "She's going too. She worked for another family in that building." Mrs. Patterson was a retired housekeeper, one of Gloria's friends. She'd gotten the same kind of invitation. "Stand tall," Gloria said. "Let them see we're still here." That Saturday, Jada went with Mrs. Patterson. The older woman was her chaperone, though she mostly stayed near the refreshment area talking with other former staff members who'd been invited. The building was on the Upper East Side, all marble and gold. Mrs. Patterson showed both invitations to security. The elevator opened directly into Khalid al-Mansour's penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan's skyline glittering outside, men in expensive suits, women in designer dresses, jewelry worth fortunes, waiters carrying champagne and appetizers. Mrs. Patterson immediately found her friends. Jada wandered toward the main room. Nobody really looked at her. She was used to that. She found a spot near a tall plant and watched. That's when she heard the laughter. A crowd had formed near the center of the room. A man's voice rose above the noise. Khalid al-Mansour. He was in his late 40s, tall, traditional white thobe and gutra, standing in front of a massive steel safe. "Custom made," Khalid was saying, "imported from Germany, completely. Secure." The people around him made impressed sounds. A man in a gray suit laughed. "What's even in there that needs that much security?" Khalid grinned. "Want to see?" Khalid stepped up to the safe, put his hand on the combination dial. "I keep important documents in here, contracts, some cash for emergencies." He started turning the dial. Right, stop, left, stop, right, stop. Soft clicks with each movement. Then Khalid grabbed the handle and turned. Heavy metallic sounds from inside. The door swung open. Inside, Jada could see document folders, some small boxes, and yes, stacks of cash. Not mountains of it, but enough to be impressive. "About $5 million in there," Khalid said casually. "Give or take." The crowd made appropriate noises. A woman in red laughed. "I bet no one here could even remember that combination." Khalid's eyes lit up. "You know what? You're absolutely right. Tell you what, anyone here who can open this safe in the next 5 minutes gets everything inside. $5 million. The room erupted, laughing. Someone said, "You've had too much champagne, Khalid." "I'm completely serious," Khalid said, playing it up. "I just showed you exactly how to do it. Anyone remember the combination?" People looked at each other. A few tried to recall. Was it right first or left? How many turns was that? Nobody knew. Khalid spread his arms. "See? Impossible. Anyone want to try anyway?" A middle-aged man stepped forward, laughing. He spun the dial randomly. "This is ridiculous." Another woman tried. "I wasn't even watching." More laughter. That's when Khalid's eyes swept the room and landed on Jada. His smile spread wider, the kind of smile people make when they're performing for a crowd. "Hey," he called out, pointing. "You there, young lady, come here." Everyone turned. Jada felt her stomach drop. She walked forward slowly. Mrs. Patterson looked up from across the room but didn't move. Up close, Khalid was tall. He looked down at her with that theatrical smile. "What's your name?" "Jada." "Well, Jada, would you like to try? Open the safe. All this money is yours." The room thought this was adorable. Oh my God, this is precious. Phones were already out, filming. Khalid was playing to the crowd. Same rules for everyone. You open it, you get $5 million. Jada looked at the phones pointed at her, at the smiles that weren't quite kind, at Khalid's theatrical gesture. Her stomach tightened. She was the punchline. The little black girl in the worn dress trying to open the rich man's safe. They'd film it, post it. Khalid would probably give her $100 for trying, and everyone would feel charitable. Jada almost walked away, but then she thought about Gloria, about the hospital bills, about the treatments they couldn't afford. And here was the thing. Jada had been watching. While everyone else was drinking and talking, Jada had been watching Khalid's hands on that dial. Her eidetic memory had captured every movement. Right. She counted the clicks. 37. Left, 22 clicks. Right, 51 clicks. Jada stepped up to the safe. The room got quieter. That hush when everyone's watching the same thing. Jada stood in front of the safe. The metal was cold. The dial was heavy under her small fingers. Behind her, somebody whispered, "This is kind of sad." "Should we stop her?" Khalid waved them off. "Let her try, it's harmless." He'd already planned what would happen next. She'd spin the dial randomly. Then he'd give her some cash, get it on camera, perfect content for the Foundation's social media. But Khalid had made a mistake. He assumed Jada hadn't been paying attention. He assumed no one had. Jada studied the safe for a moment. Not just the dial, but the whole mechanism. She'd read about these systems in the library. High-security safes had patterns, logic. If you understood how they worked, they weren't mysterious. She noticed something the adults hadn't. A small indicator light near the dial. It was amber, not green, not red. Amber. That meant the safe was in a standby state, locked, but not fully secured, waiting for the right input. Jada closed her eyes for just a moment. She pictured Khalid's hand on the dial, saw the exact movements in her mind like replaying a video. The muscle memory was there. The sequence was clear. Right 37. She opened her eyes and started turning, slowly, deliberately, counting each click in her head. The room went completely silent now. Something in Jada's careful, measured movements made people stop talking. The indicator light flickered. Still amber. Left 22. More clicks. The mechanism inside was responding. She could feel it through the dial, tumblers moving into position. The indicator light blinked, once, twice. Someone in the crowd said, "Wait, is she actually opening it?" Jada paused. This was the critical moment. She'd read about this. Modern safes had a security feature. If you got the first two numbers right but rushed the third, the system would lock you out completely. She took a breath. Let the mechanism settle. Then, carefully, right 51. The dial settled with a soft click. Different from the others. Deeper. The indicator light turned green. Jada reached for the handle. Khalid's smile was starting to fade. Something crossed his face. His eyes shifted to the side for just a moment. Jada turned the handle. Heavy metallic clunk. She pulled. The door swung open. 3 seconds of absolute silence. Then, explosion. Oh my goodness! She did it! She actually opened it! People rushed forward, phones everywhere, cameras flashing. Someone was live streaming. The safe was open. Document folders, small boxes, and yes, stacks of cash. Khalid pushed through the crowd. His face had gone white. The smile was completely gone. Okay, everyone calm down, he said. His voice was different now, tight, controlled. Let's take a breath here. But nobody was calming down. A woman in a black dress was filming. "Khalid, she actually did it! This is insane!" The man in the gray suit wasn't laughing anymore. "Khalid, you made a bet. Everyone heard you." "It was obviously a joke," Khalid said quickly. "I mean, come on, she's a child." "A joke?" The woman in red stepped forward. "You said anyone who opens the safe gets what's inside. You said you were serious. There are 50 witnesses." "And about 100 phone recordings," someone else added. Khalid looked around, every face watching. Some uncomfortable, others excited, a few angry. Across the room, Mrs. Patterson had stood up. She was watching carefully now. A man in a dark suit pushed through, one of Khalid's advisors who'd been at the party. He leaned close to Khalid and whispered urgently. Khalid's face went from white to gray. He turned to Jada, forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Look," he said, trying to sound reasonable. "How about this? $5,000. That's a lot of money for a young girl. More than fair for playing along, right?" $5,000 was more money than Jada had ever imagined having. But it wasn't what he'd promised. "You said everything in the safe. Everyone heard you." Everyone heard it. Khalid's smile tightened. "I know what I said, but we both know I was joking. But you showed everyone how to open it. You said anyone who opens it gets what's inside. You said you were serious." "She's right," the woman in red said. "Khalid, you can't go back on this." "This is a 9-year-old child," Khalid said, voice rising slightly. "I think you made a public bet and lost," the woman interrupted. "What do you think happens to your reputation if you refuse to pay a child?" The advisor whispered again, more urgently this time. Khalid closed his eyes. When he opened them, there was anger there, directed at Jada, for being smart, for embarrassing him, for not knowing her place. That's when Mrs. Patterson walked over. "Mr. Al-Mansour," Mrs. Patterson said. Her voice was quiet but clear. Khalid looked at her, confused. "Yes?" "I'm Eleanor Patterson. I worked for the Hendersons. 4th floor of this building. 21 years. Recognition flickered. "Oh, yes, hello. This young lady," Mrs. Patterson gestured to Jada, "is Gloria Richardson's granddaughter. You remember Gloria?" More recognition, and now discomfort. "She worked for you for 20 years, Mrs. Patterson continued, until you let her go 6 months ago, right after she was diagnosed with cancer." The room went very quiet. Khalid opened his mouth, closed it. "I didn't know she was sick." "Her diagnosis was March 3rd, Mrs. Patterson said calmly. "Your office called her March 11th to terminate her employment. Her last day was March 15th. The timeline hung in the air. That was just coincidence," Khalid said, but his voice wasn't convincing. Mrs. Patterson reached into her purse and pulled out a piece of paper. "Gloria asked me to bring this, just in case." She unfolded it, a paycheck stub. "Gloria Richardson, $400 for 2 full days of work." She let that sit. 20 years, same rate, classified as independent contractor, no benefits, no health care, no retirement contributions, no sick pay. The advisor's face had gone pale. "When Gloria got sick," Mrs. Patterson continued, her voice still calm, still measured, "she had no health insurance, no savings, because for 20 years she was paid $400 a week and given no benefits." "I don't have to explain how I run my business," Khalid said. His shoulders stiffened. His voice went up half an octave. "You don't," Mrs. Patterson agreed, "but everyone here is going to wonder. You throw charity galas for underserved communities. You make bets with $5 million like it's a game. But the woman who cleaned your home for 20 years, $400 a week, fired when she got sick." People were staring at Khalid now, not with the admiring looks from earlier, with something else. The woman in the black dress said quietly, That's really awful, Khalid." "My goodness," someone else muttered. Khalid looked around, saw the phone still recording, saw the judgment on faces, saw his carefully constructed image cracking. "How much?" he said finally, looking at Jada. "How much does she need? For the treatment?" Jada just looked at him. "The safe has about $5 million in it," Khalid continued. "Take it, all of it, for your grandmother's treatment. We'll consider the bet honored." It was a reasonable offer, more than reasonable. But something in the way he said it, like he was doing them a favor, like this made him generous. "You were going to give me a little money and have everyone film it. That's all this was." Khalid didn't deny it. "My grandmother kept every paycheck you gave her. In a shoebox. All 20 years. She said they were evidence. I didn't know what she meant back then." She looked at Mrs. Patterson, who nodded. "I understand now. She kept them so people could see. How you treat people when no one's watching." The room was completely silent. Khalid's advisor stepped forward. "Mr. Al-Mansour, we need to talk about this privately." "No," the woman in red said. "This is already public. Those videos are already uploading. Whatever happens next happens here." Khalid looked at his advisor. The advisor's expression said it all. The damage was done. Finally, Khalid nodded slowly. "I'll make the transfer, $5 million, for Gloria Richardson's medical expenses." "Make it directly to the hospital," the advisor said quickly. "I'll handle the paperwork." Khalid walked to his desk, made a phone call, gave instructions. Everyone watched as he authorized a $5 million transfer to cover Gloria's treatment. His voice was steady this time. He'd regained his composure. This was damage control now. The advisor confirmed the transfer instructions with the hospital's billing department over the phone. "The money will be there within 48 hours. Mrs. Patterson nodded. "Thank you." Khalid looked at Jada. "You're a smart kid." It wasn't quite a compliment. There was something else in his tone. "I hope your grandmother recovers," he said, his voice louder than necessary. The words weren't for Jada. They were for the phone still recording. "Thank you," Jada said. Mrs. Patterson put a hand on Jada's shoulder. "Time to go." As they walked to the elevator, the crowd parted. Some people looked sympathetic. Others looked uncomfortable, like they'd witnessed something they wished they hadn't. The elevator doors closed. Mrs. Patterson let out a long breath. Well, that was something. "Did that really just happen?" Jada asked. "It did, sweetheart. It really did." The next day, the videos started appearing online. Not millions immediately, but thousands within the first few hours, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. The story spread steadily. News outlets picked it up. Labor rights advocates shared it. People who'd worked in domestic service recognized something in Gloria's story. Within 2 weeks, the hospital confirmed the transfer had cleared. Gloria's treatment was fully funded. All of it. The experimental therapy, the medications, everything. It took 6 months, 6 long months of treatments. But it worked. The cancer went into remission. Jada and Gloria moved to a better apartment in Queens. Not a mansion, just a 2-bedroom with better heat and working appliances. The hospital had billed about $2 million for Gloria's complete treatment. The remaining $3 million sat in an account that Mrs. Patterson helped Gloria set up properly. Gloria was careful with it. She'd spent 20 years watching wealthy people waste money. She wasn't going to do the same. Part of it went into a college fund for Jada. Part of it went into a modest fund that helped other families pay for treatments insurance wouldn't cover. Not hundreds of families. But over the next 2 years, it helped 19 families, 19 people who got treatment they couldn't have afforded otherwise. Gloria cried when the first family sent a thank you letter. Jada turned 11, still in school, still straight A's, still remembering everything. Some news outlets wanted interviews. A few local programs reached out. Jada and Gloria declined most of them. They didn't want the attention. They just wanted to move forward. But Gloria did speak at one community meeting about domestic workers' rights. She stood in front of about 200 people at a church in Brooklyn and told her story. About the 20 years, the $400 a week, the lack of benefits, being let go when she got sick. She didn't mention Khalid by name, didn't need to. People knew. Some things changed after that, not dramatic federal legislation, but New York City strengthened protections for domestic workers, made it harder to classify them as independent contractors without proper justification. Required. Written contracts that spelled out terms clearly. Small changes, but real ones. Gloria felt strong again, strong enough to work part-time. She started her own small cleaning service with Mrs. Patterson and another friend, 3 women. They set fair rates, provided their own benefits. Did it right. One Saturday, they had a client at a hotel hosting a business conference. Gloria brought Jada along. They were walking through the hotel lobby when Jada saw him. Khalid al-Mansour. Talking with a group of men in business attire, still in traditional dress, still with that confident demeanor. He looked older, more tired around the eyes. He glanced in their direction as they passed. For a moment, Jada thought he might recognize her. But his eyes moved across her face for half a second, then continued scanning the crowd. No pause, no recognition. Why would he remember? It had been 2 years. He'd probably attended hundreds of other events, made dozens of other deals. One embarrassing evening at a charity gala wasn't significant enough to stick, but Jada remembered. She remembered his face when the safe opened, the anger in his eyes when she wouldn't accept $5,000, the forced politeness when he authorized the transfer. She watched him shake hands with someone, laugh at a joke, play the part of successful businessman, and she felt not much really, no anger, no need for acknowledgement, because Khalid al-Mansour didn't matter to her life anymore. He'd been an obstacle, a locked door, and Jada had found a way through, not with strength or drama or big confrontations, with memory, with truth, with people like Mrs. Patterson who stood beside her when it mattered. Today, Jada is 12 years old. She's in 8th grade, still excellent grades, still living in Queens with Gloria, who's been cancer-free for 18 months. The Medical Assistance Fund has helped 23 families now. It's small, nothing like the big foundations, but it's real, and it helps people who need it. Jada wants to be a doctor someday, or maybe an engineer. She hasn't decided yet. Gloria tells her she can be anything she wants. You already proved you can solve problems most adults can't, baby, Gloria says. The rest is just deciding which problems you want to solve. And Khalid al-Mansour, his business is fine. He's still wealthy, still runs his foundation, still throws charity events. But according to Mrs. Patterson, who still has friends in those circles, things changed a little. His household staff are now classified as employees, with benefits, with health care, with proper contracts that spell everything out, not because he suddenly became a better person, but because the cost of not doing it became higher than the cost of doing it right. Sometimes that's how change happens, not through people's hearts changing, but through them realizing that doing wrong has consequences. The safe wasn't the real challenge that night. The safe was just metal and tumblers and a combination that someone with a good memory could crack. The real challenge was standing in a room full of people who thought you didn't matter and proving that you did. Jada didn't just open a safe that night, she opened something bigger. And sometimes, that's enough. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel. We share stories about people who stood up when it mattered. Let us know in the comments. Where are you watching this from? We love hearing from viewers all around the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.